Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you're here for the first time, thanks so much. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can check out my other videos. And if you're here for a second or third or fourth video, thank you so much for your support. Greatly appreciate it, and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be giving tribute to Van Gogh and kind of focusing on his very expressive impressionistic style and painting one of his iconic pieces. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And Van Gogh is a very popular paint at home subject matter. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this. With this painting and any painting that I teach, you are more than welcome to switch out colors, change it up, make it your own. And quite a few people do that even with the old master paintings. So feel free to change out and make it what you want. What you're going to see in the description box below is a link to a supply kit. And in that supply kit are all the colors, paints, brushes, surfaces that you might need to get started painting at home. So grab any of those extra supplies that you might need and then pick up the video for the painting portion. Another thing that you're going to see in the description box below is a link to a traceable. And a traceable is a way for my first time and beginner painters to get your initial composition on your canvas without having to stress out about drawing and without basically having to stress out. So check the link below to where to acquire the traceable, and there's also a video on how to transfer your traceable to your surface. When you are a little bit more comfortable with your painting process and you want to take your skills to the next level, check out my online school, paintwithlovejoy.com, and check out my featured course on there, Paint Your Pet. And you will be painting from your own pet photograph, and I'll go through the process on how to break it down and pick which photo and go through the process of painting. But when you paint something you care about, it's a whole new ball game for you. And you actually learn more and you put more energy into making it awesome. And it's your pet, so it's going to be awesome. And that course is geared towards first-time and beginner painters. So check it out and just keep evolving your skills as you get more and more into the creative process. So I think that's enough talking. Let's go ahead and get started painting. Alright guys, it's going to be another fun painting, so grab your supplies, transfer your traceable to your surface, and as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now what you're going to see on the videos on the traceable that I transferred, I did go over it with a black Sharpie marker, and I did that for those of you at home that are going to draw what you see. If you're using just the traceable, you do not have to do the black outlines like I did. Now we are going to start with the background, and we're going to make a light blue, and I just demonstrated a few different brush strokes that you can try. Give all of those a try, whichever one that you feel comfortable with, you can kind of stick with it. But we're going to be filling in that entire background with this light blue color. Now, if you are painting on a stretched canvas, when you reach the edges, I do recommend that you carry the color around the side of the canvas. It just looks nice when it hangs on the wall, having that color wrap around the edge. And I also recommend that you apply your paint a little bit thicker than you may be comfortable with. We're going to be doing some wet on wet blending, so if you apply your paint a little bit thicker, it will make it a little bit easier for some of your blending. Now you may notice that I'm actually making my color 2 and 3 times every time I go to the plate to mix it or to grab paint. Now this is actually good practice for you to do the same thing. The more that you actually mix this color, each time that you mix it, your brain is picking up that information of how much pigment, how little amount of pigment, and it may be kind of frustrating at the beginning, but your brain is learning a lot. So don't feel like you have to mix a huge blob of the color that you're going to use the whole time. It is okay to mix it each time that you grab your paint. And if there's a little variation in there, completely okay. We will be doing, like I said, some wet on wet blending in a moment by adding some darker colors into the background. All right, so here we're going to grab kind of a medium blue, going a little bit darker than what we were just using, and we're going to slap this on the background. And I want you to just observe the placement that I put each of these colors and the general shape that I make with them. And by doing this, you are strengthening your power of observation, and that is a big part of art. by looking at what you see and then translating it onto your creation. And what we're adding here is actually the shadow in the background. And this is a Van Gogh flower painting. So I'm going to stick with what he created for this painting, but if you want to actually switch out colors or do something different, go right ahead and do that. Now here, I'm grabbing some of that white, slapping it right on top of that background. You can do this with the darker, lighter, different color, but you can only do this while your background is wet. So do everything that you want to your background before you move into the next step. And again, if you were holding your breath, take a big inhale, pause the video, take your progress photo. We're going to move into yellow and raw sienna for the table that this vase is sitting on. And it's about equal parts, maybe a little more yellow, kind of your call, whatever you feel like doing. And we're going to basically, as we go through this painting, we're going to be putting 2 layers on here. So right now we're just kind of getting that base layer, and later on in the video we will come back and do a second layer on top of this. And this is because I am using student grade paint. It is a bit on the transparent side. So with student grade paint, you can either apply your paint thicker or apply a few coats. So we'll be doing actually both in this painting. So here you can see I'm grabbing that direct raw sienna. It's a little bit darker. I am applying it thick, and I'm applying it on the left-hand side of the vase. This is the shadow side. The right-hand side will be a little bit lighter. And when you're creating art, this is what kind of makes art believable, by doing shadows and controlling where the light is directed and viewed. So as you paint more, you will learn more and more about that. So here we're actually going to the vase, and we're using a pretty light blue, almost a white, with just a hint of blue. You definitely want to go a lot lighter than what you did for the background. We're filling all that in. I am going over those traceable lines, applying it a little bit thicker, and just kind of covering up that space. Now we're moving into a medium blue, darker than what we did for the background, and we're going to section off this bouquet. This bouquet has blue and orange and green flowers in there, and white and yellow, I believe. So right now we're laying that base color. We're going to move into green after this, and then we'll be putting our layers and more paint on top of this base color. You're doing a great job. Relax. If you're finding that your muscles are tight, take a deep inhale. This is going to go better than you are possibly giving yourself credit for right now. All right, so clean that brush really good. You can take another progress picture. We're going to move into green paint and fill in the rest of the area for the bouquet. And with the green, you can actually tell where my paint is more transparent, where it's a little bit thinner. And then you'll tell in a few places where it's a little bit thicker when I apply it. So no matter what type of paint you're using, you will adjust based on the variables that you have in front of you, whether it be your environment, fast or slow drying paint, your experience level, your comfort level, and even what your emotional content, goes into, affects how you're painting. So that's one of the beautiful things about painting, is we just kind of forget about the rest of the world for a little bit and escape into this creative process. Now I did move down to the small pointy brush and white paint. I'm just getting that base layer on where these flowers are going to go over the vase. And super exciting to paint white on a white canvas, but at least getting that base on there is important. Now you can let your paint fully dry if you want, and we're going to be going in and putting layers on top of this. So we are starting with a yellow-green mixture, so that way we have something lighter and some contrast that's going to go on top of the green and on top of the blue. Now as we do the foliage, these are going to basically be lines and dash marks and blobs. And I've taught first-time painters for many, many years. And psychologically, when you tell yourself you're painting just a line, you're painting just a dash mark, or you're painting just a blob, it takes the pressure off. Anybody can paint a line, anybody can do a dash mark or a blob. So if you are nervous about doing this and you're, or you have some anxiety, tell yourself that it's just a line, it's just a dash mark.
and that will help with your process. Again, you are observing where I place each of these, whether it's a long line, a dash mark. We'll get into the blobs when we get into the flowers, but you are strengthening your power of observation as we do this. And strengthening your power of observation will actually benefit many other areas of your life. There is nothing wrong with being more observant. All right, you're doing a good job. Smile at yourself a little bit. I'm proud of you. All right, so now we're moving into the green. And again, just adding a darker contrast value in some of the areas. And feel free at any time to pause the video as needed. You do not have to paint in the pace that I am painting. I do have a time lapse speeding up on here. But take this as your creative outlet at your pace for what you need to do. So now we're moving into a light blue, close to the color that we used for the background. And here we're making a bunch of little dash marks, little impressions that we have this bundle of flowers. So they can kind of radiate out around a circle if you want, or they can just be a little collection. Maybe it's a sideways flower. But we're going to do this with the light blue. We will go in with the dark blue, and we'll actually come back with that middle blue a second time. And again, like I said earlier, that's one of the ways that we can create this nice magical illusion of a 3D object on a flat 2D surface by using a light, medium, and dark colors. All right, and you will notice that every couple of brush strokes, I am grabbing more paint. So you do want to kind of get in that habit of grabbing paint every 2 or 3 brush strokes. So here went into just the direct blue. This is going to be our darker value. And again, these are just little dash marks, imagining that the dash mark is some petals on these flowers. And because they are bundled together, they're going in all different directions. And that's one of the wonderful things about the Van Gogh paintings. Very expressive, very thick and movement oriented, and makes it very approachable for beginner painters to just get a little more expressive and comfortable with their painting style. All right, so going back to that really light blue, we're going to go back to the vase. And again, lighter blue than what the background was. And we're going to put that base on there for the whole area, and then we're going to do the wet on wet blending with some darker blue on there. And I did move down to that small pointy brush, so feel free to switch out brushes as you need to. All right, and yep, going right over those lines and putting that base to put the darker color into this. As we move into putting the darker color on here, I want you to use light pressure. Here we go. So just notice again where I place this color, and then we'll go back and kind of blend it into that base light blue. Sometimes it does help to wipe off your brush after you've applied the darker pigment. Wipe it off and then go back to do your blending. As you paint more, trust your instincts. Your instincts will naturally guide you in the correct direction. And even watching other videos from other teachers. The more exposure you can get to your hobbies and the things that you like to do and see how other people do it in different ways, the greater you can expand your own skills. So I encourage each of you to find creative outlets on a monthly and regular basis for yourself. If you can do it weekly, awesome. Please do that. I personally feel like we need more relaxed and chill people in the world. And as you get into the process of painting, I do want you to every now and then look at your painting from a distance of 5 to 10 feet away, and it will look different from that distance compared to up close. So now we're going back to the table and putting that raw sienna on there, just kind of filling in a few of the areas that I missed on the first round. And then we're using a dark raw sienna, and that is black plus raw sienna. And again, making this darker shadow value darker to indicate where the light source is coming from. So you are just observing where I place this and placing it in the same area on your canvas. And after we placed that black, we went back in with more of the raw sienna just to kind of mix and blend the edges a little bit. We're going to put some of that on the right-hand side, and then we'll also be adding some yellow to this. Here we go, just to kind of lighten it up. Again, getting those 3 values to create this illusion. All right, here on the right-hand side, doing that mixture again of yellow and raw sienna. And this is our second coat on top of that first one. And just, again, observe the difference in what it looks like when you add that second coat or when you apply your paint a little bit thicker. You're doing great. All right, so now we're actually going to make the poppy flowers. So we're going to make a light orange, and that is yellow with a little bit of red, a light to medium orange. It gets to kind of be your call. And for this painting, I did want to keep it kind of with the primary colors, and I think that's why I did not put the orange on there. But we have our red, yellow, and blue, and we did throw some green and raw sienna on there. So as we do the flowers, this is where you get to paint blobs. Just tell yourself it is a blob. And again, just kind of look at the shape. If you are looking at the original Van Gogh painting for this, please feel free to adjust and add more of the details that you might see on the original painting compared to what I am doing here on the video. Again, either way, you are strengthening your power of observation. And as you're mixing your orange color a second or third time, if there's a little more red in it one time, maybe a little more yellow, that's okay. That's just adding diversity to your composition. All right, this is taking shape nicely. You guys are doing a great job. And if you want to add more of this color or different colors or different flowers into this, go right ahead. So here, taking a little bit of that red and just adding a few extra little darker spaces on here. We will be moving into black in our next step. Here we go. So yeah, clean that brush out really good. I believe these were poppies. So we're going to put the center section of the poppies and a few little details of some of the vines that were hanging out. So still using that small pointy brush, light pressure. Again, just kind of observe where you see these on either my painting or the original Van Gogh painting. And if you are searching for the original Van Gogh painting, just type in Van Gogh flowers or flowers still life, and you'll actually see quite a few of the ones that he has painted. And it looks like I forgot a few flowers, so making that orange again, adding them. Don't be afraid that if you need to go back to a color or back to a section in your painting, go right ahead and do that. All right, so going back to that light blue and going pretty light blue because I want a bit more of a contrast. And I'm still using that small pointy brush, but making tiny little dash marks again in the blue area. And again, thinking each dash mark is a petal on one of these bundles of flowers in there. And as you're doing this, if you need to turn the canvas upside down, turn it sideways, put it in an easel, adjust the canvas to what you need as you are going through the process. And make sure you're taking your progress photos. It's nice to look back and see how the white canvas transforms to your painting. And get in the habit of doing that anytime you do something creative. It's one of the few times that we can visually document our progress. So going back to that yellow-green color combo, hanging out a bit more on the yellow side. I want a bit more of a pop color, and adding some of the foliage that would be hanging out in between the flowers and on kind of the perimeter of our bouquet. And again, the great thing about impressionistic painting and Van Gogh style is you don't have to do every single detail. As long as you can kind of get the gist of it, our brain fills in the rest of the details of what we're looking at. And that's kind of one of the nice things of impressionistic and expressive paintings, that you don't have to have everything there. All right, so clean that brush really good. We're going to go to white paint, And I do recommend making sure that your paint is fully dry before you're doing this, because you don't want to contaminate your white paint. Now these are going to be kind of medium to small to medium dash marks. Again, each dash mark being a petal on our daisies, and I am slightly mimicking, radiating these out from a center, but they are not symmetrical, they are not perfect, but our brain is still going, yep, we got a flower there. Later on in the video, we will be putting a yellow center on there. So again, just observe where you see each of these flowers on the video or on the original Van Gogh painting. You guys are doing awesome. And like I said earlier, if you're really good at making the dash marks in a certain direction, rotate your canvas so that way you can keep hanging out in your comfort level of your mark making your brush strokes. All right, so I think we're done with the flowers in the bouquet. Now we're going to do those flowers that are kind of overlapping the vase. And basically just putting that white paint on there kind of thick. We're going to make some light gray in a moment and give the illusion that we've got some shadow on these flowers. All right, light gray, a tiny, tiny amount of black will go a long way to make your light gray. And again, these are just little dots, little kind of dash marks on here, not too much thought, just a general area that breaks up that space. All right, and now we're going to go back to yellow and just kind of put little blobs, little dots in the center of our daisies. They do not have to be symmetrical. All right, guys are doing great. I'm very proud of you for what you're accomplishing right now. Keep it up. All right, and taking a little bit of that yellow green, just adding some foliage. Please trust your instincts. Add what you want here. We'll be using some of the dark green in a moment in the foliage. But there's nothing wrong with going back to any section that you feel you need to add more to. So here we go. This is the green. All right. So great job today, you guys. I'm really proud of you for painting. Email any questions that you have, and don't wait too long to do your next painting. You're going to just keep building on your skills. So until next time, cheers.
Hey guys, how's it going? I hope your paintings turned out really nice and I hope you enjoyed the process of painting. I'm really proud of you. Good job. As you're uploading your pictures to social media, please tag me at or hashtag paintwithlovejoy or email them to me, paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. It truly is through you guys sharing my channel and videos, you sharing your work, that encourages other people to paint. And then when I post your guys' pictures on my social media, it encourages more people to paint. So please keep spreading the word. This channel is as successful as it is based on your guys' support and feedback. So you have brought it here, let's keep it going. Any questions, comments, things you want me to paint in the future, please leave a comment in the description box below and I'll add it to my production list. And keep on painting, keep on getting creative. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to painting with you in the future. Cheers.